in Mesa, Arizona, with Grandma Polk, Valerie and Michael Pallas, Jim and Becky Upchurch, and Eleanor Upchurch. Grandma's been visiting us for 4 months, and we're going to have dinner and celebrate because she's going to be leaving us next week.
No, this week.
Well, this week, okay. This week's Friday, she's going to be leaving. All right, so we're going to have Grandma tell us some of her stories. So, what story, Valerie, do you want her to tell?
Grandma, why don't you start and tell us all about the village where you grew up in Poland?
Oh.
What was the name of it?
I wasn't in Poland. Oh, I hate Poland.
Where was it?
In Austria, the village I was born by the name Toporowicz in Germany. Huh?
Why don't you go sit on the floor, Valerie, and let Grandma talk to you or something?
Okay, I'll come and sit on
Yeah.
this side.
So
Okay.
the village was Toporowicz. I was born 1900, 22nd of January. That's my birthday. And my father kept us there till, because his father got sick and he had to go to the village to fix all the wagons for the villagers. So he was teaching the men how to make the wagons for horses that they could use their own men, because those were villagers, Greci Orientalis, Greeks. The second people that God created, first were Jews and second were Greeks. And the third were Romans. So the worst gangsters on earth. I hate him. I'll tell you the story about him if you want to know.
Well, you were telling her about the village. Finish telling her about the
Okay.
village and your father
I
and
was
mother.
born in that village. Then my father's father died. And my father took a half a dozen men and showed them how to do the wagon work. New or repair. And after a few months, he went back to his house where we used to live. And we used to live on one side was city called by Sadegura on the right hand. On the left hand, the city was Chernovitz, the most beautiful city. Sadegura was only for poor farmers that brought the vegetables to the city because there was a city. But, you know, in a city, people don't plant no gardens. So the village used to bring them all kinds of vegetables to the Sadigura and sold it at the storekeeper. And storekeeper sold it to whoever came to shop. But Chernobyl, so there was a beautiful city. I closed my eyes and I could see. So we were close to the city, and I was coming to 7 years old. Oh, yeah, and I went to sign up for school on Bahnhofstrasse because mostly in Europe, in our part, Austria, was everything in German. Everybody talked in German. When the people in a village, they talk what they want. But in the city, mostly everybody talked German. So I went to sign to school. I was 7 years old. And the teacher that I talked to her in Polish language, her name was Aurela Malinkiewicz. Tall as I never saw such a tall people. And I'm supposed to be there for the first grade. As I talked to her, she started talking to me, and she gave me a book, and she said, read ABC. I looked at her, I started reading ABC, because when my father was working in our place where he's on board, his neighbor was he was wagon maker to making from wood, but his neighbor was making whatever the wood needs, steel, whatever it comes to a wagon. So his neighbor was called Kowal. He comes in, but he had a mother in his house, and his wife says to him, either you take your mother away, or I'm taking my children and I'm going away from you. And you're taking me blind, So, and he got scared. So he came to my father and started talking to my father and told him. And my father, where his shop was, where he was working with wagons, wood. He says, oh, don't worry about your mother. I'll make her a bed here and bring her and she can sleep in that bed. Well, my father said he did. He made her a bed just enough for a human being to sleep and made them, brought hay. Hay is long and got flowers on it, blooms in fall. But that's no lie, I've seen it. So that grass would grow to a hay with bloom. Such a beautiful smell that you haven't got the slightest idea. So my father made her a bed and made them, we call it like matters, whatever you call here, we call it strozak. And the back was sewn, and then that hay was put in. And the whole room smells like you put perfume under it. Whoever came asked my father, what you spray this room? It smells so beautiful. And my father didn't even know. Until he says, wow, I got hay in that matters for that old woman. What kind of hay? And she told him that lays on the grass for fall. After fall comes, they cut that with a long
Scythe. Scythe.
Huh?
A scythe.
Yeah, cut it, and the flowers are blooming on the beginning of the head. Okay, so my father told him the hay is inside in the bag and in the bed. There must be that hay that smell. They opened it and they looked, sure enough. That's no lie, that's the truth. Well, okay. That woman was in that bedroom, far away from my father. My father didn't pay attention to her. But when she saw me, the wife, teaching me Polish prayer, Ojcze nasz, zdrowaś Maria, and Jezu Boga Ojca. And I was a kid, 4 or 5 years old. I couldn't pronounce the Jezu Boga Ojca. She put corn on a floor. You know what corn is, dry corn, on a floor, and put me kneeling until I pronounced the word Jezu Boga Ojca. You know what that is. No, I was kneeling and crying because your knees were full of holes from the corn. Dry corn makes you holes in your knees. And I was kneeling and crying. Who comes in? Comes in her son. When he came, saw me kneeling and crying, he didn't know what happened. He came and picked me up. Why are you crying? But he looked at my knee. My knee was full of holes from the corn, went into my skin, and that hurt us all. And then he said, child, I'm taking you in the front room of your house. Don't ever go in that room where your father works until I take my mother away. Because now I know why my wife wanna take the children and go away, unless I take the mother away. But she didn't tell him why. So he saw my niece, and he told me not to go to the room where she is until he takes her away. So that's what happened to me.
What happened when you went to school?
Huh?
What happened when you went to
When
school?
I went to school, Avrama Malinkiewicz tried to show me ABC. Yeah, ABC I could, because she asked me a prayer, and I said, Otche nasz is zdrowaś, but I still couldn't pronounce wierzę w Boga Ojca. That means I believe in Almighty Father. I couldn't pronounce that before, because that was very hard. And she said to me, that teacher, Dziecko, you speak so beautiful. Ojcze nasz i zdrowaś, ale każdemu, all the children suffer with a prayer of Wierzę Boga Ojca. They couldn't pronounce that word. So that was, I went, 7 years old I was to go to school. And my father all of a sudden had to go back to the village, because those men that he was teaching them how to make wagons couldn't do. So he had to go. When he went, the village name was Toporowicz, was the last village in Austria. On the other side were Russians already, Russian soldiers. Well, when he took us there, we couldn't do nothing. We had to say where the Father take you. Father is a father. He was a devil possessed. Now I know what he was. When I seen my mother-in-law, what she was doing when I came from Eleanor home, God in heaven, I was scared to death.
You're jumping ahead. You're just telling the stories about yourself as a little girl first. Finish telling the stories about
I'm
yourself
too
as your...
with a little girl.
No!
Oh, when
No,
I
you're not.
was taken to the village with my father and all of the, when I got there, I went to school. They got beautiful school, beautiful building. Yeah, we went to sign, me and my brothers, because they were old enough to go to school too. Kids came out with a stick. We don't want Shlachta children here. This is our school. Grieche Orientalis, Greeks. We have the school. So I did go to school. Not even 1 month. Yeah. Because my father had to do the work, so he was teaching the men how to do the wagon work. He had half a dozen guys trained. And then when he trained them, he went back to his house because he didn't like the village.
Do you have any brothers or sisters?
Huh?
Do you have any brothers or sisters?
I had 4 brothers and I was only alone. 1 girl.
What happened to the brothers?
What about Valerie?
Who?
Your little sister Valerie. The one that's now in
Oh,
Poland.
yeah, I forgot.
She was the youngest
She is in Poland. No more, she left my father's house. I don't know what happened in the Bukovina where we used to be. She got to Poland. I got half a dozen letters. Send us money. We are in Poland. Oh, shit. Where will we get the money? Every place I turned, they all
Now
want
you know why
money.
that's my favorite word.
You should talk Polish. I taught you Polish. Miałem sroty, wraz zrodzony, od samego matku nie znam, sem opuszczony. Matko, matko ma, proč mnie zrodziła, proč nie dała tu łasku pro swego syna. Otcze, Otcze mój, kam dał rozum Twój, pro syneczka serotečka, zaprel se rozsud, senza dovolju, a tam bojuje, pronem plaču, rodičovi, nikdo ne. That's Bohemian, Czechoslovak. That was singing when they were marching from Russian prison during the war. And I said, Sakra Patvara, co ste za chłopaki?
The Sakra.
Slechenko, my jsme Čechy, my jdeme na Čechy, my chceme svého krála. Váš král jde za vámi. And that's just what happened. Because there were guys that didn't want to kill Russians during the war. And Russians would let them go alone to their country because they were afraid to be killed. Because there was a lot of men, they didn't want to fight the war. So they went to Russia, and Russians came to Austria, and they were an Hungarian country through the whole time as long as the war lasted. When the war stopped, they were walking to the neighborhood. And my father put a table by the window by our house there where we used to live by Chernovitz, make a big table. One basket, don't you dare do that, not on the head. One basket he put apples, delicious, second pears, and third plums. All of a sudden, about half a dozen Russian men marching. And those were the men that they want to kill nobody. They went to Austrian prison. I didn't know that time. They were marching and I saw, because our neighborhood didn't have the store, only one big store by the name Gottesmann. Gottesmann, that's in German, Gottesmann, but in English, God's man. And he was a Jew. You know, Jewish people have beautiful names if you want to meet somebody. And those very good storekeepers. Okay, they were marching, those Russians, and my father put apples, pears, and plums, and a scale. You stand here and sell it. No, what could I do? I had to stand and sell it. I couldn't tell them, no, I wouldn't, because I would beat up like a chicken. He was a very mean man. Okay, I was standing and selling. All of a sudden, those Russian men were marching to Russia from Europe, from Hungarian country, Österreich, Ungarisch. Okay, as they bought the fruit, they stopped, they bought apples, they bought pears, but they didn't buy plums. Well, and I had a scale, I weighed it up for them, and I sold it to them. They paid me with Russian money. And they took the package and they went. All of a sudden comes the old lady. She wanna buy fruit too. Oh, but before she bought fruit, she picks a wallet and hands it to me. And she says, somebody left is here. And I took the wallet from her, and there's money in there, Russian rubles. Russian ruble is like American dollar. My God, when I said that money so much, I didn't have idea how much, but I counted, was 80 rubles. 80 rubles like $80. So I started praying in Polish that either God Almighty would send them back or protect them that I wouldn't starve someplace, because I knew how far it is to them to go. And that's 80 rubles, it's like $80. So that's a lot of money. As I was praying, that woman stirred me. because she was waiting that I would wait on her. So after I got through, she asked me to give her apples and pears, no plums. So I waited up her apples and plums, and what she does, she handed me the money, and I was praying for them to either to return back, that I would give them the money back, or God Almighty should protect them, that they wouldn't starve. €1 was to lose just like $80. So that woman stared me, and bought what she wanna pay me. Next day she comes, brings me a book, I got it upstairs, Polish Bible. She says to me, child, when I heard your prayer, I couldn't help it. Here it is. This is my Bible, but my eyes are very bad. I can't see how to read. So I bring it to you, and giving to you, you will know how to read. I got it upset. She says, you'll be reading and you'll be praying, because when I heard you praying for those men, that God should either return them back or protect them, that wouldn't start something. That's the story of my Polish Bible. 1918. I got it upstairs. Upstairs? Oh yeah, I packed it in my suitcase. My God, so that's my story in Europe.
What happened to you during the war? What did you do during World War I?
When the water was going, no, I didn't do nothing. I just worked by my father, wherever I had to dig. I didn't dig. I had to plant potatoes. I had to cover them. I had to make a garden in the back during the war. I didn't work for nobody. I was just a young kid.
Did you sell work at grocery store? Work in a grocery
We
store?
didn't have that in the grocery store. No, later. I dig 1, 2, 3, 3 graves. Some small boys came running to me. Teofila, you got to help us. That's how they call my name. I say to her, Ma, come here, show it to you. One took me by one hand, another by the other hand. I had to go with that. So when I got on the piece of land, they showed me, this is the grave that we digged. We got 3 boys there without the heads. One is a whole boy on top of them. No coffin, just wrapped up in canvas. You know what's canvas. And that's the way we buried them. But we got more boys all over the land. We want you to help us. I look at them, I say, me, a girl to help you? Yes, our mother told us, you're the only one will do the work, nobody else on the whole street. And there was a lot of kids, boys and girls, but were devil possessed because they were poor. They're no good people. Oh, boy, I had Jewish people, girls so friendly, they talk German, so nobody knew they were Jewish. And I had one girl, Marie Milbauer, German girl, that's my girlfriend. The rest Polacks too. I didn't like Polacks. They were so bad.
So did you dig the grave?
I dig 3 graves. In one tree, in another tree, in the 3rd, 4th, I got pictures of it. So the 3 of them didn't have the heads. And the 4th was a whole boy in a Schützengraben. You know what Schützengraben, don't you? Trenches where they dig before the war, when they expect the invasion of the other the other country, they have to dig a hole and make themselves a room to stay through through the night because they can walk around. But through the night they had to have graves. So they called in German Sitzengraben. I don't know how they call in English. In Polish they call okopy and Sitzengraben. That's how I know. And I asked him to send his helper to come and say a prayer and seal the grave. That's what the old lady was praying that I could do because she helped me. And her first child was in the service before the war. And then when the war came, she did not have where her boy was. Was he alive or was he dead? So she wanted a priest to say, come and say a prayer and seal the grave. And as I went, and I told him, you listen everything when I told him how we buried him and everything. And after I asked him to send the priest, oh child, it's good enough for them what you did. It's good enough for them what you did. Like that, and he said, it's good enough what you did for them. And I looked at him, I thought he was insane because he asked me for money. I said, I have no money, I was just a kid. Where will I get the money? And my father wasn't even home. The Russians took him Lord knows where with wagon and horses. So after I took him and I went away from him, I was going on the street and I started crying. I couldn't help it. All the languages in Austria, people were stopping. Warum crying sie? Warum weinen sie? Oh, Jesus, all the language, Polish, Russian, German, Bohemian. I didn't know what to answer to them. I was scared of the people. So then I went, I looked for the field, that I could go to the land. So oh, there is a field. So I went from the street and through the field, but I couldn't stop crying. I was crying and crying and crying. All of a sudden, two hands, one here and one here, and said to me in Polish language, child, don't cry. Only believe in God Almighty, He will not forsake you. And that's what I was told. I look, who is talking to me? Nobody around me. Whose voice are you? You know where I found out? I didn't even know in Europe because after that I never went to church. If somebody told me to go to church, I say, you go to hell. I'm not going to church. I say a prayer every place I go. Every walk I make, I pray to God. I make always, Father Almighty, help me with this or that. Just like you slap your hands, that's the way God helps you. But church is not that. That's like a whorehouse. Shock up so much. I don't believe in no church. Because the priest only wants money from you. He didn't tell you the truth. What the Bible says, the last chapter of the Bible was written by a boy that was locked up in the Roman country. I will not tell you who is Roman. In Roman country, his name was, I forgot. I got a picture of the boy upstairs in my bedroom. My daughter-in-law sent me that picture. And I'm so thankful that she sent it because I don't like the picture. I would have destroyed it when I was home in Cleveland. But since she bought it and she doesn't know, she don't go to church, but she don't know nothing what I know. So I didn't want to destroy it. What she did, send it to me, it's in my bedroom. And I said, oh, I said to Eleanor, take that picture, but don't throw it on the ground, just burn it. And you can do what you want with a flaming glass. You can put a nice, beautiful flower. She took those little ones from my bedroom and gave it to me, but the big one she did, because that's too big to put in the suitcase. So I told her to buy some kind of a nice flower that bloom, in a picture paper and put it in the frame. Or maybe she can find something else, but not to keep that picture what I got upset because my dumb daughter, she bothered. I was at this church ages ago, but on account of her, I couldn't do nothing. She sent it to me here. Till it happens, it will be destroyed. Because who the heck will look at a bunch of guys that want to kill you? Would you say a prayer, you beg God Almighty for help. You don't need to be churches or devils or nothing. You just put your eyes down like that, not sleeping, but put them down and say a prayer to Almighty Father. And Almighty Father, with everything will help you. That's how Jesus told me, child, don't cry. Only ask my Father in my name. He never will refuse you nothing. And that's the truth. I asked my Father Almighty, I want to go to Arizona. I didn't know what possessed me. I just said like that, I want to go to Arizona. Daddy heard it. Oh, Grandma, I'm going with you. What she did, I didn't come to stay here so long for her. I was supposed to go when Patty was to go back to work, and Patty left me alone and went. Now I got Auntie Stella. I think she made a special trip from Cleveland to take me home.
How did you come to America?
I never knew what America was. If I know it, if I would have listened to the man in Vienna, I forgot his name, I would never been in America. Never, if I only would have obeyed him. When I went to Vienna for the release of my name, that I'm going away from Austrian country. And I knew that man during the war. He used to come by, first he started buying kielbasa, cooked sausage, and then, because that's what I was selling when war was going on, my father turned to be a butcher. He didn't want to be a wagon maker because he would have made wagons for nothing for the army, and he wouldn't get paid until the war was over if they won. So us 5 kids he had, with what would he feed them? You had to work to feed your children. So an officer came to the store, bought kielbasa, bought some lunch which I was selling. My father took him to a store, but I had to do the work. Here is apples, pears, plums. Here is a scale. You sell. Yes, I did sell. Sure. That's how I got my Polish Bible. But when he put up a store, then I had it under the room, in a room. So this officer came a few times and bought some stuff to eat. Then one day he comes and he says to me, you think your mother would cook a good meal that I could have a good dinner? Good dinner? Because, boys are boys. Soldiers mischarge all kinds of crap. An officer, he gets more money from the government. He didn't need it to eat that stuff what the boys were eating, soldiers. Well, my mother cooked. And if you want to try, you come tomorrow, she will have dinner ready. So that's my mother did. Oh my God, when he came and ate the dinner, next day he brings 20 guys, 20 officers, and told me in advance, because 20 men to feed, you got to make a big meal. And I told mother to make a big meal because she's bringing more guys. So I had to prepare a table, fix him, for all the men to sit. And I said to myself, I should carry plate by plate. No, Mama, put everything in one big dish, and I just put the plates for them because I don't know how many men will come. And leave them eat, leave them help themselves. I don't care how much they eat. My mother obeyed because my mother always said, if I wouldn't tell her what to do, she would leave the home and would go away from my father because my father was very bad. But at that time he was not around. Russians took him devil knows where. So when he came the next day to eat and ate dinner, he couldn't believe it how good it tasted because my mother was a good cook. And she said, tomorrow I will have my friends for dinner, so tell mother to make bigger meal. So she did, and she made a bigger meal, and they came, and I said to mother, I'm not carrying a plate by plate. I put the plates all around, and you put in a big dish in the middle, leave them help themselves. My mother looked at me, she didn't say no or yes, but she did it. And when I brought all that stuff and I put the dishes all around, 20 guys were for dinner. So they sit down and they ate. They took their dish and put whatever they want and they ate. After they got through eating, they dumped the money on the table for this guy that ordered the dinner and told him, pay the lady, this dinner was delicious, not like meat that the soldiers cook. Because soldiers are men, they schmucks everything, not like a woman. This seasoning, that seasoning, tastes different, no? Well, a
Well, I
man
don't
is a
know,
man.
that Michael's not so bad at cooking.
Huh?
Oh, Michael's not so bad at cooking. Michael knows how to cook.
Well,
pretty good.
that's, maybe he experienced, maybe somebody showed him, maybe his mother showed it to him. Because a man is a man. Mostly a man don't cook something, especially soldier. He's not a soldier.
No,
He must have been grown up by mother, and mother was showing him that's the reason he knows how to cook.
So how did you come
Too
to the
bad
United
Jimmy
States?
didn't learn how.
How did you ever get to the United States?
Well, how I got to the United States. I had a stepsister, traveled with this woman like my father. I know. Okay, she was sending me $5 in an envelope with my letter, $10, $5, $10. And then she put a postal cards together and she put some money in there. But the post office, they opened the two cards, took the money, sealed the card, gave the boy to give it to me. The boy came and gave it to me, the letter, and she says to me, whoever sends you that money from America, tell them not to send that way, only send through the bank. My post office woman runs the post office. She opened those cards. You haven't got a penny in there. Sure enough. Because she was a boy from the neighborhood that used to deliver the mail. So that's what I wrote to my sister. She sent through the bank. After that morning, $2, because she wanna drag me to America. I don't like America. America is like good house. Don't get offended. See, bad people in Cleveland, no kidding. My husband was only running around with women and left me alone in the store with small kids. And people came in the store and I was alone. And women are robbers. They came to the store one day, coffee, Maxwell House coffee. A whole pile I got from the company because they were selling. And that coffee I sell. Some women Italian, two Italian women, mother and daughter, used to come to the store. Every day they gave me coupons. Well, I know the Maxwell House, a lot of coupons used to come with all kinds of stuff. But where the devil did they get nothing but Maxwell House? And my cousin told me, go look. Yeah, go look. And I just went away from my counter where I was checking the customers. I opened one glass, I opened another, no coupon. They were robbing me from two Italian women, mother and daughter. That's I never talk, I never call him Italian. I call them Romans. The Romans people don't know who they are, they're too dumb. And Italians know Italian because they think they're something. They're nothing but bunch of robbers. They kill millions of people in Europe, and they still kill it. And then they changed to Catholic religion. And then everybody who was crossing, because those days people were going from one country to another. They went, mostly English people from England. When they want to buy something different, they went to a different country if they didn't find in their country. Those days, they were allowed to go. And all of a sudden, the Italians started killing people. They were killing people, so many, that I would never say a prayer for Italian human beings. And then they came out with Catholic religion. They came, took it in their too. You know, stupid, huh? They will teach you German, Jewish. Stupid and stupid. You take it one picture you got already splendid, sorry. I would tear that out for you if I would be here. He was with such a nice face, no? Don't you put that thing there. You look so ugly. You look 10 years older. What for? Not you, because you got a little bit. Take that out too. Don't you see? Every time you look at a moving picture on television, you see all the young men without that stuff, no? Well, those that come out with that look like monkeys. Don't be bad, because I tell the truth. I don't know how to make up story in life. I just say the truth. I can't help it. I run the truth. That was my father, who was such a mean man to my mother. My mother died 1935, and the Holy Spirit, you know what I'm talking about. I was still in bed. It was through the night. But one minute I sleep, next minute I don't wake up. I can't help it, that's my nature. So somebody talk to me. Say a prayer for your mother. Your mother is dead. She died 1935. Your father picked her up. They took her to the hospital, and 2 days in the hospital she died. My father was very mean man. I never would say a prayer for him if I died today. It wasn't worth. He was devil for this. That's what my mother-in-law. I came from here, from Arizona that year, 1940, 44, 45, 46, right? 46, I was with you. You was a little girl
I
going.
think that was later than that, Grandma. I wasn't born till 57.
No, no.
I was born in 1957.
Eleanor,
What?
come here. I don't know. What year was I in your, with you here when the kids went to school?
Okay, let me think now.
I was here 3 years. She tells me she was born in 57.
That's right. You were here in 1962 and 1963.
I was 3 years in here.
No, the third time you came with Helen and the boys for a visit in the summertime. You were here 2 years. And then you came for a visit with Helen and the boys one summer.
So there
But
was-
you came to Idaho when Valerie was born in 1957. You were there when Valerie was born
What was that?
in Mountain Home, Idaho.
Yeah, I remember that, but...
Yeah, and I brought Valerie home from the hospital, and we wanted to give her a bath.
Well,
You gotta give her a bath. You gotta give her a bath. I said,
That's
"Jeez."
right, because
Still
they
has
keep
still has the
children in
cord.
hospital, they don't give them a bath.
She wanted to put her in the bathtub.
Not in a bath.
Well,
Oh,
in the sink.
You had such a little thing to give
Yeah.
a child a bath. No, that's
Yeah.
how could I put
And
a-
then you
How
took
could-
care of Valerie when Jimmy was born.
How could I? Yeah, I know. She was crawling to something that she was.
Trying to climb out of the playpen, driving me crazy.
She wanna crawl out. I was scared she would get hurt, but thank God you didn't. So, because once I said, Valerie, Grandma will spank you if you don't obey. And you looked at me, and when you obeyed, you were scared. Because you put a foot someplace there, I don't remember what that was, and you couldn't pull it out. I had to pull it out for you. Yeah. You still making pictures of me. You were scared when you moved. Can you look at that again? Yeah. Stara baba jako hraba. That's Bohemian song. Czechoslovak.
How does it go?
Huh?
How does it go?
Stara baba jako hraba. Będę w nocy studena. Młoda Holka jak pierzyna. Będę w nocy zagrzewa. That's how it goes. Bohemian boys were marching. I said, what the devil are they singing? I know Bohemian language because I know Bohemian, Ukrainian, Russian, Polish, and German. So is that enough? And I asked him, what kind of a voice are you? Co ste za chłopaki? Soleczenko, myśmy Czechy, my idziemy na Czechy, my chcemy swego krala. I mówię, ja, was kral idzie za wami. And there was a bunch of Bohemian boys outfit. Another bunch was real German soldiers, dressed up junky clothes. Only they were not singing. If they would sing, I would know they're German. And the third bunch were Russians walking behind us because these men did not kill nobody. And the Russians, you want to give them alone, leave them alone to go to the country until they got to their country that nobody would kill them on the road. So the Russians were going with after them with guns. And when they were singing in my group, they said, "We must have Sheho Krala, idę za wami." To these days, the Russians are in Czechoslovakia. And when I got to Vienna to get my paper released, that I want to go to America because my stepsister was writing me nuts. And I didn't remember her because I was a kid when she went to America. So when I went to Vienna to get some kind of a release, you have to go, because Vienna was the main office to the whole Bukovina, our country. And Bukovina, once upon a time, was nothing but, let me finish one. So I got to Vienna, and with a Jewish girl, I got a picture someplace. she was my friend, and she was coming to America too. So we both went together. I was mostly a Jewish girlfriend. Polacks, I hated them. I hated them. They were so rotten. I never would tell nobody that I can take both, especially since I'm in America. So I went to Vienna, and I said to that woman that I stayed with her niece in her house with that Jewish girl, because two of us went. And as I stayed by her, we went outside for a walk. And I said to the lady, gee, I wish I would know where my uncle is in Vienna. What, you got an uncle? I said, yes, he called me my niece, and I call you my uncle. So I'm your niece, you're my uncle. So that's how it was. But he was an officer in the army. He had little hair like, what's his name?
What?
Yeah, little hair, little bit here, to look older when he was around the soldiers. Because soldiers don't like a man when he is young, an officer. They would eat him before they kill somebody else. So he was looking older. You look older too. So I told the lady that I know you have a friend here that I used to call my uncle, he called me my niece. You got his address? I said, yes, I got his postal card that he sent me before he got to Vienna. I gave her the postal card, she goes to police station. We were passing by police station. Not even 10 minutes, they gave her the address from him. So she took me there. Her and her cousin, I was with a Jewish girl in Vienna, because both of us want to go to America together. I didn't have Polacks for friends, only Jews. Jews and Germans. So when I got the address, that lady that got the address from police station, come on, we go to your uncle. So we went. It wasn't very far from police station. But I didn't recognize him. He didn't have the blurred here. He didn't have these here like Michael had. So I didn't recognize him. I thought to myself, no, that's not my uncle. And he started talking to the Jewish lady, his wife and him, and a kid maybe about 4 years old at least, since the year that I went to Vienna for, I don't remember what year, 1920, and 1915, 16, when I saw that man. So when she had a kid in between that woman, Jewish, and his wife and him. The kid left them, was that high, and ran to me and grabbed me like he would know me every day. I look at the child, I kiss him, I play with him, and I let them talk because I didn't believe that was my uncle. And he, like it was Saturday, so Saturday he came to that woman's house and told me, I'll be here tomorrow to take you to our biggest church in Vienna, where all the Kaisers are buried. You know, they're used to run the country. So he took me. He came Sunday morning early because he had to work on Sunday. But I still thought that I wasn't the same man, but his voice was the same. So I went to church with him. The Jewish girl didn't go, she stayed with her cousin. She says, we say our prayer at home, we don't go to no church. If we do, there's only much, she said. So that they were home and I went with him to church. He took me to the biggest church in Vienna. In the bottom, under the church is a like a funeral parlor. And there are the Kaisers, anybody who was big deal in Austrian country is buried in the basement. And he didn't want to take me to the basement. He says, I don't like to go to the basement because I saved my things when I came from the service. I clear my nose, I haven't got nothing. His face was a young boy. So I can't go to see those old guys laying in the basement buried. She says, they don't believe to bury a human being in the grave, only they put him in the basement. When God will change his world, they don't have to get up from the soil. They'll be in their coffin in the basement. That's the idea they got. They don't know what God Almighty will do, but it's according to the Bible. God will open the graves and people will come out like they were dressed to put in the grave. The coffin will open itself. And the other people from the grave will be like just born. They'll be out like they used to be when they were young. Yes, so that's what the Bible says. Read chapter the last Bible. But Johnny was locked up in a Roman country on Pitmouth Island. You don't know what that is. In the Roman country, you don't know what it is either. I know. Italian. They go them pictures. They were the worst murderers on this earth. They killed million people. Not only their own people, but of the Jewish, one part Jewish people, God created Jewish people the first. Jewish people were the first on earth, nobody else. Then she created one after another people to see if they would be friendly. Jewish people, one part went with the Italians, another part, they want to know Italians, moved away from the Jewish people. Those people believe in God, that they will be blessed by God like God promised them. And these people went with Italians, they murdered hundreds of people, Italians and Jews. So, Italian and Lara, they're very bad people.
So what happened in Vienna? You left Vienna to come to the United States?
Yeah, I got my paper released, and then I got home. A couple months later, I was going to America. But a boy, that officer in Vienna, but I'm talking my uncle, he says to me, child, don't go to America. You don't know what America is. America is not a country for you. Our people from Vienna went to visit America. And when they came to America, to New York, and they saw what goes on in New York, they turned back and back to Vienna. They didn't want to know about America, nothing. Yeah, America is not a country for decent people. America is a country very, very bad. You could see. We don't have to tell you. They murder you any place you go. And the worst ones are keep away from Italians. They don't give a damn if they're Americans or not, they kill you. They came, first people that came to America from Europe, they were English people. And all of a sudden, who comes in to New York? They've been settled in New York. They went away where is all the English. I don't know what part English people are from England. They settled down there. And now from New York coming to their place was just here a house, there a house, there a house, all the weeds growing, grass, junk and everything. was nothing straightened out. Who comes in when they were here already? They had nice everything, but they expected. So who comes? Italians came from boat, took their horses down, and come to New York and start traveling straight to the English people. And English people came out with the guns, with big, strong guns, nicely, a whole line. Get back where you came. We don't want you here, because if you don't go back, every one of you will be killed. You killed in Europe, go kill more. And that's what happened. Italians didn't have no room in here. When they came to New York was left alone. Her house, their house, garbage, green grass grew there, all kinds of rubbish. But not people. People weren't there in New York like they are today. And today are mostly Jews. There isn't very many other people in New York.
Where did you come to stay when you came to the United States?
I came to Buffalo, New York. So then I came to Buffalo, New York. When I saw my stepsister, I said, yes, it's Maria, who the hell sent me here? And she was sending $5, $10, and then she was putting more money into postal cards and send me. And a post office in our city opened it, took the money out, took the post office together, postal card, mailman brings it and looks at me and she says to me my name, because he was a neighbor boy, Teofila, whoever sends you that money, tell them send it through the bank, not to the post office with a postcard. Here they are. The post office took the money out and gave us the cards empty. How much was it, he didn't know, but he was our neighbor and told me. So I wrote a letter to my stepsister. You don't send me no kind of help if you can send through the bank, because post office robs the postal cards. So
Did you meet your husband in Buffalo?
No, in the damn Cleveland, not in Buffalo. I'll tell you the story. So when I came to America, in Buffalo, New York, and I saw my stepsister, I didn't believe. I thought that was my father. She looked just like my father. And my father was he must have been devil possessed, like my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law was devil possessed, and I came from here, from Eleanor, from what year she said I came to Cleveland. And my son came, that was Easter Sunday. Mother, I'm here to take you to my house for Easter dinner with us, and I will ask Grandpa and Grandma. So she went asking Grandpa and Grandma, and Grandpa says today, Rico, sonny, take your mother, and we will have dinner home because your mother cooked already. The dinner is on the table. I cooked not on the table, on the oven to keep it warm, because I had to cook. The old lady couldn't cook, and she'll tell me what happened. So as my boy asked him, they couldn't, so he came. Grandpa and Grandma told me, Grandpa told me to take you to my house, and not that I will not go, that I got already, but Grandpa don't feel very good. Oh, he was an old man. Wasn't that old that was when I was home, because he was mostly in my house. He left her alone and came to my house. So I went with my boy, and we ate there. How long it takes you to eat, especially if you have no teeth? No, I waited till I got through. When they got through, I went and I sit down like on this side, and my boy sits on that side. He took the child, one on Mikey on one side, Paddy on the other, Mikey 6, Paddy 5. And I was here looking at some kind of a book. As I looked at that